Hello, Namaste. This is Neeraj here once again, and welcome back to my channel, 𝗕𝗏 Stock Analyst. So, in today's video, I just thought of discussing some of the points in recently, ongoing, or you can say that concluded G20 summit. So, declaration. What is the meaning of those declarations, and how actually it transforms or it impacts the real world geopolitics and other issues, as well as the BRICS also. What is the difference between the BRICS declaration and this? So, in very nutshell, I will not go into the 32 page that declaration, but main points of the declarations are: the first main point is that countries should not, there should not be threat of nuclear or nuclear use of nuclear weapons. So that's right. I mean, I also agree, as everybody will agree, that yes, you should not, world should not talk about, any country should not talk about nuclear weapons or nuclear threat of attack. And the second point was regarding that inclusion of this, what is happening in Ukraine, that war situation and conflict, Ukraine-Russia. So in that, there was a difference that in last 2022 Indonesia Bali declaration, they had included the statement that aggression against Ukraine or war against Ukraine. So this time, what the India and Russia and China and all this other, again, despite the Western pressure, they included that statement was war in Ukraine, not against Ukraine. So it's war is taking place in Ukraine, and whatever the ramifications are there. So that way, it was accepted by everybody. And if you accept that, yes, that, because first of all, you have to understand the statement. If you accept some statement, then only the solution can be found out, right? If the statement itself depicts a very not the real picture, then solution also will not be the real. There won't be any solution. So war in Ukraine, so that is a reality, that it is happening. So now people can talk about, rather than blaming this or that, and there is holistic approach of that, why it is happening and what can be done to solve this. So at least that was a very big achievement, I would say, that regarding India's presidency. Another main point was that inclusion of African Union. So just like European Union was included as apart from some of the European countries individually also part of G20, EU is also a member. So out of G20, the EU, European Union. The same way there was, India was pushing that such a big continent with huge population, almost around like 25% of the world population is in Africa, and it is not represented this as a whole. Apart from South Africa is also part of invite of G20, but African Union also, just like European Union, should be included. That was the India's watery. It was India was pushing for it, and it was, thankfully it was accepted, and African Union became a member of G20. So that way, why it's also important is that at least now all the voice of Africa also, collective voice, that what is happening in Africa, what are the issues, what are the challenges, so that can be addressed. Because if you are part of that discussion group, if you have got the seat on the table, then only you can voice your concerns about your concerns, and then that can or cannot be addressed. But so this is another. And the third main point from my point of view, I mean, what I understand is, because there are all this kind of declarations and summits are actually doesn't achieve immediately anything. It is more of a networking opportunity, or to on a day-to-day, or what you call that, burning issues of the world, and try to find some futuristic solutions regarding the permanent solutions for this. So these are not some kind of a mandatory or legal kind of a meetings, but it is a what do you call, a club where everything can be discussed and they try to find, but it is not binding on some of the members. So whatever the declarations there, it doesn't mean that it is part of that UN declaration. UN is the legal representative form of the world. So as per the UN legalities, something is, it's declared or accepted, then there are countries that are bound to accept that and bound to act upon that. But these clubs are kind of a discussion where informal discussions, and you try to find solutions. So there was a discussion, or there was a point of declaration, is that main point was that grain deal, that food deal, which was last year implemented by Turkey and Istanbul Declaration, what you called, that there should be a free flow of allowed this food and fertilizers from Ukraine. So that was the last year that the grain deal was that, and it was included in Indonesia G20 declaration. But there, they even addressed Russia's concern. Means it is Russia's interest is also included. So that is one major difference. Now what is it the text or declaration says is that there should be a grain deal which acts on the free flow of food and fertilizers from Ukraine and Russia. So that and Russia is added. That is very important. So now what people say that what is the difference it will make? It will make is that now Western countries, particularly US and Europe, cannot push that only Ukraine. So if you have to have a grain deal, then Russia's interest also has to be, because Russia is also a major exporter of food, grains and fertilizer in the world, not Ukraine only. So the deal which would be acceptable to Russia in the future, that future grain deal, whatever they are even trying to discuss that and trying to tell Russia and Ukraine to allow this kind of deal. So in future, officially also, in a way that this is a declaration, official declaration, that Russia's interest also. So unless until Russia's interest is not included in the deal, I don't think so in future even Russia is bound to act on any of this kind of grain deal which is brokered by say X, Y and Z, and which affects the A country, which is the main country of that grain and all these things, and you don't include that A country into discussion and you make your deal. How in practically in the world, it is not possible. You have to include the country which is directly affecting or which is the supplier, and without its consent you cannot give. So that was another, I think this fourth major point, what I would say that it was the achievement. It is a great achievement as far as this India's presidency and this declaration statement. It reflects the same sentiments of what was declared in BRICS, just concluded that BRICS summit in Africa, South Africa, Johannesburg in July. Yeah, that was also the thing is that the geopolitical discussions or the geopolitical tensions should not affect such economical and political groupings, and the geopolitical tensions has to be resolved as per the UN Charter. So both declarations says the same. So there is a similarity that UN Charter says that territorial integrity of any country and sovereignty should be respected, and that is what the BRICS also declared, and this G20 also declared. So that way it is there. But one more thing was added in G20 declaration apart from the BRICS was that attack on any energy sources should also be considered as a prohibited, or as considered should not be done. Means energy sources means Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, you can say, or any oil or that crude oil production facilities or the power plant, which in Ukraine right now, that conflict going on, war, that is where the attacks happen on this particular nuclear plant. So that is where the declaration in G20 has included that no country should attack on that energy or facilities. And that was a welcome change, because now one cannot escape that responsibility of attacking. If you attack, then you are held responsible. So that is when, generally what has happened in recent war is that in Zaporizhzhia, which is under Russia's control right now, okay, and that Ukrainian side keeps on attacking with the very kind of bombs and missiles, and it's a very dangerous situation because it's a nuclear power plant, and if something happens, it can affect the full world, and particularly Europe. It's very bad, radiations and everything. So that was one welcome change. But at the end of the day, what I would like to tell is that these are all welcome statements, but after the you meet and you greet and you come out with declarations, and then mostly it is forgotten till the time next year it is handed over to Brazil. So now the next G20 summit will take place in Brazil in 2024, and then it will be whatever is there if most of the things are not implemented upon, because it's not duty bound by the countries to implement those. These are the suggestions, as we call it, this consensus declaration that people should, all the countries should work on the climatic control. You know, so much of pollution and climatic changes in the world as happening, and you can see the disasters of flood, earthquake, all these things. So that also is included, that we have to address these climatic goals into the into any declaration. So people has to be more aware about those kind of, and you have to invest into those green technology, you invest into those kind of things. But yes, at the end of the day, it is up to the countries. People can sign on this, all these agreements or this consensus declaration, because this is no agreement. But how much, the biggest problem what India and Prime Minister Modi suggested or was told is the UN reforms, United Nations. That is where the problem happens. All these declarations are well and good, with good intentions, but nothing can be forced upon or agreed upon unless and until UN reform take place. And why UN reforms is very important? Because UN is still dominated by, United Nations is dominated by US, particularly in all the multilateral institutions, financial institutions like IMF and World Bank are also US dominated, particularly Western dominated and US dominated. So there cannot be any reforms unless and until it includes the interest of the multilateral or multipolar world, where so many other countries' interest and other countries' control are also included. So that was the biggest reform which India pushed for, that UN reform. UN cannot be represented by only 5 countries, and where India, the largest country, remains unrepresented in the Security Council without any power of vote. So that is what, so unless until that, no, all these declarations will have any meaning unless until the UN reforms take place. That is what I just wanted to also give my thoughts to, and just share, because many people will not go through. So I wanted to simplify it for them, that what is the meaning of all this G20 and BRICS declaration. So if you like this video, you please put a like, and for personal financial advice and investment advice, you can write to me on my site www.steelanalyst.com, and I have a day-to-day updates on the economics and finance and market on my Telegram channel. It's 𝗕𝗥𝗜𝗖𝗦 Stock Analyst. Its link is down below. You can join. And till the time, next time, if we come up with something new update, till that time, see you once again. Ciao.